As they do every day, a lot of people were walking down a busy city sidewalk when they heard heartbreaking screams. They turned to see what was going on and were shocked by what they saw. A little boy was hanging from a man's hand as he cried loudly through a window in the middle of a large building. Right away, everyone started to yell at the man to stop, and they also tried to call the police to tell them what was going on. What happened next left them all dumbfounded, and they will never forget it for the rest of their lives. Carolina was a young, humble girl who grew up in a Catholic family that taught her to believe in God from a very young age. Every Sunday, her parents took her to Mass with them, and even during the week, they always found a few minutes to take her to Mass. They always took a few minutes a day to read the Bible with their daughter and teach her that loving God more than anything else was the most important thing in life. Because if she loved God, she would love every living thing and be a good person. Carolina grew up and turned into a beautiful young woman as the years went by. Thanks to the hard work of her parents, who sold delicious homemade bread at the town market, and the help of a generous family who went to the same church, she was able to get into a good university and study to become a veterinarian, something she had wanted to do since she was a little girl. Carolina felt overwhelmed in that new place, far from home and full of people. She was even made fun of when she asked her classmates where they went to church on Sundays. "Where did you get your education?" one of them said. "Sunday is a day to rest after a party," and everyone in the room laughed out loud. The poor girl was so embarrassed and wanted to fit in so much that she slowly gave up her faith and started doing the things and living the way her friends thought people her age should. And that's how, years later, she met Rodrigo, a boy from another university, at a party with her friends. As soon as he saw her, he started flirting with her. From that day on, he looked for her everywhere until he finally won her over and they started dating. He came from a wealthy family, and his parents were also the leaders of a strange religion to which he belonged. After they had been dating for a while, Carolina suggested they go to his town so he could meet her parents. Even though he always had a reason, he finally gave in. That day, while she and her mother were setting up the room where they would sleep, she told him that Rodrigo had suggested they move in together, which she liked. "My girl, you should think about it more. I think you are in too much of a hurry. Also, there's something about that boy that I don't like." When the young woman heard what her mother thought, she was very upset. "Is it because you and he don't believe in the same God?" "No, that isn't it. There's just something strange about him. Don't try to explain it to me. Please don't talk to me. Rodrigo has a good reason not to come here. You have no idea what's going on in the real world." Since that trip, Carolina has moved far away from her parents. As planned, she moved into the apartment of her boyfriend to start a new life with him. At first, everything seemed fine, but over time, Rodrigo's strange beliefs turned into a nightmare for Carolina, who had just found out she was pregnant. When Rodrigo heard the news, he turned into a controlling and possessing man who made her do his rituals even though she didn't want to. He also put even more limits on what she could and could not do and made her drop out of college for good. Even though the doctors told him it could be dangerous, he limited her food intake the whole time she was pregnant and wouldn't let her take the vitamins they sent her. Joelle was born healthy, but Carolina's body was so worn out that the doctors told her she couldn't have any more children. Since she held him in her arms, she knew that Joelle would be the most sacred thing in her life. She made a promise to take care of him, body and soul, which was very different from what she had dreamed. That wasn't easy because his father and his constant rituals, which included a small child and which she couldn't refuse because if she did, he would use his money to take the child away and she would never see him again, were her biggest threat. Carolina was tired of all the chaos and she was afraid of what he might do to her son one day. So, she made a secret plan to leave and go live with her parents. Then, she would use her savings to get far away from there. But just as she was about to leave, a strange virus destroyed the cities and forced everyone to stay in their homes until further notice. As if it couldn't get any worse, she had to go through the pain of being locked up with her in-laws, who kept saying that this evil was sent to kill the unclean, since they were the only ones who could get sick. They also celebrated the deaths of the unclean, which caused so much pain for the families. That morning, Joelle's screams woke Carolina up. When she saw what her husband was going to do, she started crying for help and begging him to stop. The little boy had been down and looked a little sick for a few days, so Rodrigo called the family doctor to check on him. The doctor did some tests that showed the boy had an infection. Rodrigo got them, and when he saw them, he went crazy and went straight to his son's room. He was angry that he had brought a dirty person with him, so he took him in his arms and told him that even though he carried his blood, he could not do what his God wanted. He took them out the window and got ready to throw him off that building. Even though his wife begged him not to, the man let the baby go. Carolina, who couldn't believe what had just happened, passed out from shock. When the woman came to, she saw that her son was safe and sound in the arms of a police officer. Her eyes filled with tears. Joelle got caught in the clothesline of some neighbors a few floors below. It was a miracle that they were able to save him. A few minutes later, after being told by dozens of witnesses, the police broke down Rodrigo's door and arrested him. He was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison, and neither his money nor his power could save him. When the little boy got better, Carolina was given special permission to go home to her parents. When she got there, they were very happy to see her. Something told us you weren't feeling well, so every day we knelt down to pray for your health and the health of our grandson. It was amazing. When her parents heard what had happened, they were shocked. How do you feel about the story? Do you think Carolina did something wrong when she didn't listen to her mother and put her faith aside for other people? What do you think? Tell me in the comments.